Hey guys. Purple, you're back. There we go. It's early. Forgive me. Oh, good. They're opening today with Starfield. Nice. Shit, I gotta get my notes ready. All right. Forgive me, I literally just woke up, so. Oh, I want that Starfield pin. I think after this, they're doing a trivia that you can take part of for prizes. Oh, Todd. That seating in that theater doesn't look actually that comfortable. There's no backs. Oh, damn. I noticed that ever since the announcement of the Constellation Edition, we've never seen Todd wearing the watch again. Vascalico. Vascalico. Hey, Midwest Geek. We're watching more. They're talking about Starfield. First thing today. $160, he said, that he's played. Oh, you can't hear the audio? Let me see this. Huh. You can't hear the video. How about now? It's really odd because it's showing that it's playing. Let me try something. How about now? Can you hear it now? Let me... Oh, that's really odd.
Game, but sort of the hopefulness, the lifting others up. I think it's brilliant. But you know, it's not just that. It's, hey, we've got wraps for your Xbox console. You know, something Xbox has never offered. That look really great. You know, we've released a bunch of new wallpapers, desktop wallpapers and phone wallpapers that have been amazing. Like awesome. We are now in the point. I said last night to the folks after dinner, like, there is no emergency brake anymore on this launch, folks. Like, we're a go whether we're ready or not. So everybody, like, make sure your seatbelt is fastened, because this is happening, and it's, you know, there are very few chances. Todd and I try and reinforce this to our respective teams as much as we can. You don't get many opportunities at a game like this. Games of any kind, you know, is a finite number for anybody in development or publishing. But for something like this, for as special as it is, for as long as I've been here, and to see what these different launches are, you can tell when something special is happening, and I think Starfield is that. And you know, I really have tried to emphasize to our teams, like, amidst all of the hard work, like, please find time to enjoy this, because you never know when you get another chance to be a part of something as special as this.
Talking about the stewardship that you and Todd have over this team to bring something like Starfield to players out there, and it often gets described as, oh, it's an open world game, but that feels like a bit of a disservice, because it's not just the one world, it's thousands that we can explore, and just sprawling open world experience across like a real good portion of the galaxy. I mean, what is it like to actually have to lead a team on such an endeavor as that, where it's grand scale that we've seen and all the detail as well?
Yeah, I mean, you know, as you all have seen, as you've watched how we've talked about Starfield, it really required us to push ourselves in terms of how do you get the rest of the world to wrap its head around a game of this size and scope. I mean, it is literally, it feels when you're playing it almost like there are a bunch of different games inside of one game, and I get to decide how much time I want to spend in a way that you haven't really seen in a Fallout or Skyrim. I mean, those things are still, you know, oh, I can spend all my time just picking flowers in the Elder Scrolls. Like, yes, you can, but it doesn't feel as wholly different as, like, the entire space game that exists, the entire live on a planet, just like the freeform exploration, the combat, the which factions taking sides, the player, it's just amazing to see it all, how it all comes together, but explaining that to folks in a way that is digestible. You know, it's how you end up with something like Starfield Direct, which, I mean, it's basically a feature film that we created just to explain to folks and to talk to folks about, not just explain what the game is, but do it in a way that I just thought was really authentic, and hearing from the people making it, how they think about both creating it, how they think about playing it, and seeing the way that resonated with
all you want, and it'll just not
really,
let you play.
was really special.
One thing that really grabs me, I think, is the love that's being poured into like Radiant Quest systems, and just allowing those new and unique experiences for people to have no matter where they are in the galaxy, whether they are just flying around in space, whether they are out there just maybe mining some rocks or looking at new fauna, flora, etc. It's a really cool way to involve them in new stories that they perhaps weren't searching for, but now they're being like collided into, and it's just juicy. You want to dive.
And then because we made an irresponsibly large game, we take it to another level that I think, and this is one of the things I'm looking for. We've seen it ourselves. Like, I was just talking to a couple of folks from our Benelux office who were like, they've both played, about the same amount of time, like, 40 hours or 60 hours, but their experiences were like, we didn't do any of the same things at all, like not even close. And just with that, and then the whole like locations aren't the same for every person. Like what you and I find going to explore this planet, I can't just tell you should go here and land here and find this. Like, that might not be there for you. Like, you get to find and have an experience that truly feels like your own in a way that I think folks are going to really enjoy and appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, we got a little bite of that in the Starfield Direct, like you mentioned. I mean, Jamie Mallory literally coming out and saying, "Oh, well, hold my sandwich, I'm grabbing them all here." And it's just, it does speak to that unique way that every player can tackle whatever situation they do come across, or even just back down to character creation, and that jumping off point of deciding, here's what I'm going to start off as. I have no idea where that journey is going to take me and how it might change me as a player, me as a character in this game, and it's all really fascinating. But what are the sorts of way that you tend to play it? I mean, I know you've poured in some time now, but
well, look, when we're in this phase and like leading up, I don't play like I would. Like, I don't play like I'm about to when I get back home. Where like, okay, now I'm going to start like this is Pete's
You got a job to do right now.
Up to this point, it's been Bethesda's character, and sort of the way I've approached it is sort of testing. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been interacting with our players playing Bethesda Game Studio stuff for a long time, so we know how they think. And I talked to Jamie after E3, and she's like, I don't get this. Like, why is this such a thing? And I said, Jamie, what you did is you tapped into the silliness factor that like you sort of tend to forget. Like, you talk about Starfield, and but it's still fun.
Oh my goodness,
like, it's
14
supposed
viewers.
to be about
Hey guys,
fun,
how's it going?
and you put your finger sort of right on the pulse of the kind of nonsense that our players love to get up to, because we make a game that is about freedom, right? Like, we embrace chaos. We give players more freedom than I think in a game like this than people really dare to in their games. Like, that's part of what makes Starfield special. And look, that creates situations that we have to do a lot of work to make sure, like, this doesn't break, this doesn't create problems. But the payoff for that, and like what players are allowed to do, like, wait, I can do this? Like, I can spend all my time doing something as ridiculous as this? Yes, like, if that's what you want the game to be about, that's what you should do. But we want you to go and push and try all of the different ways, because it's really not about like our story or how we want you to play, it's about how you want to play. So when I play, I spend time, like, I'm going to spend a week and not land on a planet. Like, what's it like to just be in outer space, spend all my time in outer space, landing on star stations, derelict ships, doing all this stuff. And then I'll be like, okay, now I'm gonna go land in this city, and I wanna see how long I can spend not leaving this city, like how many factions can
they
I
have
find,
shown the showroom. They are gonna show
what they're gonna show in the showroom,
which they said is gonna be some beginning early gameplay.
And I'll make a save, and like, I'm gonna play this way,
Some
and
guy
I'm gonna go
did
2 hours down the road just to see, like, how does that feel? And then rewind and
like
play
the
it 2
first
hours the
40
other
minutes
direction.
of
Just 'cause
footage.
I want to know, like,
Probably
what should our players
technical of
expect?
gameplay. It's probably actually more like the
Just
first
trying
hour
to
of
do that in
gameplay,
as
but
many
he was
ways
kind
as
of an idiot,
possible.
so
Just land on a random planet,
really
and just
slow.
start walking. Like, what's this like? How fun is this? And
somehow
the more
managed
of
to
it
get
you do, the more you find, like,
his hands on a physical
there's 1,000
edition,
hours
actually
in this version
physical
of the game alone.
version
Like,
of the
you don't even touch
Xbox
it.
base game,
It's
physical
crazy.
version
And
of
like,
the
my one piece of
premium
advice
edition,
to
and a
folks
physical
is
version of the
do
Constellation
not
edition.
ignore your activities. Like, that's
I say
almost,
somehow?
it feels like throwaway stuff that the game is giving you. Like,
But
there is some
he
amazing
stole.
stuff in there that doesn't even feel like a real quest.
Turn him down
but,
real
like,
quick.
will take you to some amazing
There's no doubt
places,
about it. He
amazing
stole it.
stories.
There's no way you get your hands on the
We
physical
encourage you to
edition
play
yet
this like any
unless you steal it.
TCS game, which is
So
like, do what you want,
either
go
off
where
a
you
cart
want,
or
test
off
the
of
game,
somewhere
be the
from
kind
where
of
you
player,
work.
the kind of person you want
They're
to be in the
not
world, and see how
purchasable at kiosks yet. It won't show up in register systems until launch. So he stole them.
I got one more question I just have to ask you.
Okay.
I know you're a fan, but are Arsenal going to win the league?
Yes.
You heard it here. Thanks again, Pete.
Gotta
Remember,
believe.
though, you guys can play Starfield day and date on Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass starting September 6th. But if you can't wait that long like me, early access is going to kick off on August the 31st with the Digital Premium Edition, Digital Premium Upgrade, or the Constellation Edition. But coming up, we've got Blizzard here to talk Diablo 4. We're celebrating 10 years of ID at Xbox titles, and Phil Spencer himself is going to stop by to talk new releases and what he can't wait for fans to experience here at Gamescom.
I love this part.
I'll follow you from here on out, Captain.
Have fun.
Would you believe me if I said that a day consists of more than 24 hours?
That's the dark hour. A time period hidden between one day and the next.
What are you talking about? What happened to our school?
I think a day is either slightly shorter or longer than
Those creatures. We call them shadows. They only appear during the dark hour and attack anyone who roams free outside the coffins. Shadows can only be defeated by persona users. It's our job to defeat them.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting, huh?
He says that it's
Prepared in the
mistaking the
Roku feed.
delivery. He also keeps
We'd
claiming
like you
that
to lend
this
us
is
your
early
strength.
access. This is early access. Like as if he got a review edition, which they do physical copies for reviews editions.
Let's do it.
And they also don't just ship out accidentally to one person. They're locked away. I used to work at Best Buy, and I know how people get their hands on it early. They steal it from the storeroom, or they steal it off the truck somewhere.
Hello, hello. How are we both? Are we well? Good. Love that. Right, Chris, I'm going to come to you first. So, Diablo 4, Season of Blood, was all over opening night live last night. But I want you to wrap up some of the key announcements that fans should be super stoked about, just in case.
Or their friend steals it for them. Like, who works at GameStop, Walmart, store, or Best Buy, some sort of store. So.
Bringing vampires into the world of Sanctuary.
Well, yeah, makes sense. It's not like you're turning the whole place into a bright red swimming pool. There are other reasons, yeah.
Precisely. So what's really exciting about that is we're going to have a new quest line. There's going to be a new villain, a vampire villain who's basically bringing his minions into Sanctuary. And you as the player need to obviously thwart this threat. And in doing so, you'll partner with a vampire hunter, voiced by Gemma Chan.
Yeah.
So we're super excited to have her join the,
Also,
the
he
cast,
ordered
the
all
talented
three
cast of voiceover
versions of the
actors
game.
on the game.
The base game,
in addition, you'll have access to new vampire
Premium Edition,
powers.
and
So
the
that's really going to change
Constellation
up the
Edition.
gameplay for our players.
Yeah,
I doubt
really
it.
excited about that. New legendary weapons and items that you can collect.
Yeah,
new
the hunt
uniques.
begins all over again to find them, huh?
Precisely. So super excited. October 17th will be a big day.
Brilliant. It's going to be so good. And Rod, I hear that on top of everything else you've got going on this week, that there's something that you brought specifically to the show here, and that's a trivia question that you want to pose to Twitch chat, which, by the way, Rod does have his eyes on chat. I think he's very distracted. So if anyone wants to pass a message on while you're doing this,
I know, it's
then
very
go
distracting to watch the chat go by as we're talking. I do have a question, and he almost ruined it. So I was watching.
I made a point not
almost
to.
ruined it.
I didn't know.
The question is, we announced last night that Gemma Chan is a character in the Season of Blood. What is the name of that character, the vampire hunter who is going to guide you through your journey of the Season of Blood?
We did get close to that then, huh?
We did.
Yeah, well, maybe people weren't listening. Maybe there you go. Well, the people, someone who's going to get that right in chat is actually going to be winning.
I think
an
they had
Xbox
him.
Series X
They managed to strike
Diablo
down the video
4
from YouTube, but I saw it on a
Don't
different.
mess about with
Someone's
your
already
answers. If you wanna
uploaded it
win
somewhere
Put
else.
the right one in chat for me, please. But Chris, we're going to go back to you now again with Season of the Malignant in full swing and thoroughly on quick resume on my console as well. I want to know, with the approach of Season of Blood coming up, what have you learned so far from the reactions of this first season?
So player feedback has been very important to the team. So throughout development, and obviously as we kind of gotten through launch, we've been very keen on understanding what are the emergent themes, what are the things, the pain points that players are experiencing, and how do we fold those fixes into our future seasons. And so for Season 2, there are a number of quality of life improvements that we'll be adding, in addition to all the really cool content. So a few examples, inventory space with gyms in particular has been...
Because I do find myself going back quite often going, I like these, I would do something with them, but you just need to get out from them.
Exactly.
I like picking up everything. Even when I get to high level, I'm not just picking up the yellow stuff or the red, I'm getting everything. So
yeah.
That's a good one to know.
Yeah, so we'll be making some changes there to make that easier for players to manage. Similarly, there's like some improvements around our resistances system, like how we manage resistances and vulnerable for players. So yeah, just always trying to look to improve, take stock of the things that are pain points and how do we make that better for the future.
I think the Renown system is something that's a real great example of that as we go through the different seasons. So at launch, the Renown system, which was like, go do all these different things in the world. Well, when at launch, we intended for you to do everything every season.
Yeah.
And we heard lots of feedback in the preseason, like, oh, we don't want to find the altars of Lilith. Oh, we don't want to clear the map again. So for Season 1, we made a fix, and now you took that with you. Now during Season 1, we're hearing like,
hey, Redfire.
What if we completed
Thanks
it?
for the follow.
Mark it completed and let us
Awesome.
I want the shrines. Let me keep the shrines.
Yeah,
Please.
And the side quests, and so that's what we're doing for Season 2. Is that all that Renown is coming forward? So whether you did it on the internal realm, did it on the seasonal realm, it'll be done in Season 2.
So the completionists are thrilled.
Yeah, so they'll start Season 2 with all those Paragon points, all those ovals. It'll be so much better.
Oh, amazing. That sounds fantastic. In fact, I want to come back to you, Rod, on this bit as well. As well as improving those bits and pieces throughout the seasons, as you've mentioned, you're also, and have announced that you're working on the end game experience in Diablo 4. So I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit more about that. I'll be totally transparent. I'm not there yet myself because I'm still doing all the bits on the side. I get very, very interested. So what is the end game experience and how's it improving?
Well, the end game experience is that part we talk about generally from level 50 to level 100. So usually when you play the campaign, you finish about the mid-40s to early 50s. And so one of the things we want to do is, as we've been looking at the different seasons, each season we want to keep enhancing that end game, give people more things to do. And we're doing that for Season 2. We're introducing these 5 additional end game bosses that along the way that you have these milestones that the start at level 55, and as you go up, you have this new boss to go after to test your build and challenge. But what's really cool about them is that they actually will drop uniques, and are uber uniques, which have a very low drop rate. These have a much higher drop rate of those, things those unique things that could really make your build shine. And so that's going to be really exciting to be able to go and farm those uniques from those bosses. And it even leads into Season 3. We're not really even talking that much about Season 3.
Oh, darn it, I'll just go then.
But no, we've already talked about leaderboards, and that's something that we're really excited about for Season 3. So again, every season we want to be like, okay, how can we continue to make the game better for players? And Endgame is one of those things.
Yeah, and then vampires.
Yes.
Point number 2 on the list, vampires.
And vampires, yes. Well, I mean, it's all about the blood.
Exactly, it's Season of Blood. There you go. So the last thing I want to ask is, if anyone in chat or anyone anywhere has been in any major city in the last 6 months, you will have absolutely seen some of the Diablo 4 mega marketing that's been going on. You've also had collabs with Halsey, Megan Fox. If you're in Berlin, there was a Lilith statue. In London, we had a chocolate shop. So I'd love to hear from you both what it's been like to see and feel Diablo 4 turn into this cultural phenomenon and this iconic game that it is.
Yeah, it was really important for us as we think about the marketing for Diablo. One is we wanted a game for all players. We didn't want it just to be about, oh, this is for the ultra core. We wanted to make sure that anybody could play Diablo 4. And as part of that, we wanted to raise that out of the industry genre sort of marketing and get into that sort of pop culture or entertainment. And so that was a big thing for us. And with 12 million players and 1.3 billion hours played,
those are some good numbers.
Yeah,
I like that.
So it was pretty awesome. And to see even Whoopi Goldberg, mad at me because it didn't support it on the Mac. It was very surreal moments.
What happens when Whoopi Goldberg gets involved and is
unhappy? I don't know, but she apparently was not happy with us.
You didn't have a crisis comp plan for that one?
No, I mean, we sort of reached out to say, we can help you with this, but anyway. So it's those sorts of things where you just go this is crazy, the level. And, when we saw that Halsey and Suga collab, and there's a chance they could be nominated for a Grammy. That's crazy, right? To be part of video game marketing. But that was really what we think about Diablo is it's been around for 26 years, and we really think of it more as an entertainment, part of entertainment industry and not just the game industry. And it was really nice to be able to elevate it while we were launching.
Oh, amazing. And especially welcoming everyone to hell was inspired, I must say.
I know, though I'm Canadian, I had nothing to do with the Canadian wildfires. That sort of gave us the smoke in New York. It was a horrible reason to have a viral moment, but it was If it was going to go wrong, it went wrong at the right time.
There you go. Well, wonderful. I want to thank you both so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm afraid we can't talk any longer, though, because it's now time to celebrate 10 years since Idea Xbox program was born here at Gamescom. It has brought us an unforgettable lineup of indie titles such as Cuphead, Celeste, Among Us, many, many, many more. Chat, tell me the rest of them. So let's celebrate by checking out what it takes to bring these unique games to Xbox and why today's mega milestone is so important for indie games everywhere.
I think the true innovation that is happening in the industry for games right now is actually happening in the independent space.
Indies can try new things. They can try bizarre things. They can afford to fail.
They're not afraid to go outside of the comfort zone of what is currently popular, what will make the most money.
It's often generated by an idea that's grown from a personal experience or personal desire to play a specific type of game.
Big studios may be risk averse when it comes to trying out new things, new ideas, new features. Our independent developers are the ones who are really tip of the spear for a lot of that. They're taking risks, they're bold. They're the ones that are really doing the things that are innovating and helping to attract and welcome more people to the space.
I've been making games since 1985, before there really was a game industry. Back in the day, the indie
Just
scene
FYI, guys, they are showing some indie
you
games
put
over on the
shareware on
IGN
floppy
channel. I don't know if
disk
you guys
and
want to
get it
watch
out
this
there to as many
or watch
people
that.
as possible.
I'm kind of interested in
You
this
can
stuff, but
always
I'll
make
switch if you want to, because I
but
can watch this
getting
again
them
later.
in front of people is always a problem. There's a lot to do because true indie developers are responsible for the game, obviously, and then also marketing and PR and distribution.
We all came with this kind of old school mentality that you needed a big publisher, you can't build your own team, and all of this mindset that kept our thinking a little bit too small.
And I think a lot of that changed in the early 2000s with the rise of things like the Xbox program and Steam and all this stuff.
It was really a different time. We were just at the dawn of digital downloads. And today, it just seems like hard to even imagine that there wasn't a world where everything was digitally downloaded. But Xbox Live Arcade clearly showed that like digitally downloading games was like an amazing way forward. The first games I worked on for XBLA were Joust, Robotron, and Defender. But quickly, developers saw this amazing opportunity. Like, wait a minute, I can make a game for a couple dozen megabytes and sell it directly to consumers for $5, or $10, or $15. The popularity vastly outstripped anything that Microsoft ever expected when it started the program. They thought it was going to be kind of cool to have some neat downloadable arcade games or puzzle games, and what they got was some of the most innovative and progressive independent games that have ever been created. And you saw games like Castle Crashers and Braid and everything else just explode. Was actually happening faster than Microsoft could really respond to it on 360. And as we got into the Xbox One era, we realized, we needed to take the next step for independent developers. So I was one of the people who helped co-found the ID program way back in the day, 10 years ago now.
We were seeing an opportunity where more independent developers could actually bring their games without having a publisher.
Back in the day, it was really hard to get dev kits. To get games on Xbox, developers needed kits. And so we made a commitment early on that every developer was going to get access to 2 dev kits at no charge. We knew if we could do those things, make it easy to ship, enable developers to do what they want, to be their own publishers, we knew that we would be giving Xbox players access to this amazing variety of content, and we knew that Xbox players would respond. The next thing was to go to Cologne and announce it.
Here we are, it's that time of the year again. Cologne, Germany for Gamescom.
My favorite time of the year.
We had more than 1,000 people apply in the first hour after we announced it until the website crashed. I think the big thing that we understood by the end of the show was oh my gosh, we have so much work to do.
They're offering free dev kits.
We wanted a program that made sure that people who we had never heard of would be able to come to Xbox and have fantastic success. And so whether you were a long-standing developer or whether you were you know, two brothers in Canada who had like a bonkers idea to hand draw every frame of a video game. We wanted to make sure Xbox was there for you.
Our original team started off with my brother Jared Moldenhauer and I always wanting to make a video game. And as we got through some initial ideas and some initial concepts and how the game was going to go, we pulled in my wife, Maya Moldenhauer, and we started as this small, tight-knit team and expanded from there.
Studio MDHR at the time, you know, was a wonderful small family based in Canada who had this amazing game.
They had a vision for a game that is unlike any game anybody's ever made before. You can say, oh, there's been run and gun games before. There've been hand-drawn games before. Nobody ever thought to put them together the way they did.
The art style of Cuphead was influenced heavily by the 1930s rubber hose cartoons.
Just FYI to anyone
so we
watching,
took that art style and married it with
I may have
the
to
retro games from the
walk away
1980s era
sometimes.
that we grew up and loved.
My family,
marrying those
daughter
two
to take care of
together,
every once in a
Cuphead
while,
was
and
the
I also have
byproduct.
work to do.
The game is so cute,
If I
it's
have a
beautiful.
meeting, I'm probably
It's
going to
also
mute.
very challenging.
Just do that
It
meeting
was
right here
less
while I watch.
a choice of us wanting to make the game hard just to make it hard, and more of the fact that Cuphead had to be hard to be a fun game. We had to love every aspect
might
of
go
what
make
we were
breakfast.
doing, and that means every creative decision had to be something we truly love.
The thing that stands out in my mind was we were down in LA at E3 and we were announcing Cuphead. They announced the date and everybody goes crazy. It was just such an amazing moment.
That feeling is still very raw. I almost get choked up sometimes when we talk about it because, you know, we talk about how we had put so much on the line. To step foot on that stage and not know whether or not we would ever even make our money back, whether or not we would ever be able to make another game, to see the fans' response to that announcement change the course of our lives.
They've had so much success now. You can get a marionette, you can watch a Netflix show, you can get like a, a pencil case. It's so cool to see Cuphead everywhere. But in a lot of ways, it was kind of like the prototypical, what we were hoping was going to happen when ID at Xbox started.
Hello all, thank you for coming to this very important informational meeting.
The first time I heard about ID at Xbox, I was doing Thimbleweed Park. Prior to then, it was really kind of just me. Things like Steam are a black box. You fill out some forms, you put a game up there. We didn't have a ton of money for things like marketing PR, but we were invited to a whole lot of events that ID and Xbox was putting on, ability to show our game. They gave us, nice placement on the dashboard and things like that. So it was really good.
One of the key things of ID at Xbox is listen to the developers. When we want to get great games to players, the way you do that is by listening to developers and making sure you're making a program that works for them.
Asheneer is an independent title. The 4 founders really wanted to venture out on their own, start their own project, take ownership over every part of development. When the original team was building out the game, they were really looking for a creative partner to work with to execute on that vision and also give them a little room. And ID at Xbox stepped in and said, hey, we want you to make whatever you want to make, and we're going to give you the resources that you might not even know that you need in order to do that. We launched into game preview and into early access, and it saw amazing success right off the bat. And so I think once we realized that people were coming along on that ride with us, we just saw that as a way to just keep building it out. I mean, at this point now, I think we've updated like 40 times.
Over the 10 years of ID at Xbox, we've been reaching developers, having a lot of cool developers bring their games to the platform. But we also recognize that there's more that we can do to reach our underrepresented developers. The mission of the Developer Acceleration Program is to empower underrepresented developers with the information and resources needed to bring their creativity, innovation, and originality to Xbox. We're talking about teams, including but not limited to studios led by women, studios led by people of color, Studios led by members of the LGBTQI+ community or indigenous people. There's a studio that's focusing on accessibility.
Hello, little fella.
Another group of developers that we support through the DAP program are developers in parts of the world that are underrepresented from a game development standpoint. I recently had the chance to attend the big festival in Brazil. There's a studio called Sudaril. They're making a game called One Beat Men. This is a game about Afro-Brazilians and beatboxing.
Raji is a game by Notting Head Games from India. They made this beautiful game. It's an action-adventure game revolved around this young female protagonist. There's a lot of adaptation from the mythology from India. It's just very authentically Indian.
A Space for the Unbound, which is a game from Indonesia, is a really, really beautifully crafted game. It's just a really nice gameplay experience where you get to learn about a different culture.
As we start to empower more of these studios to tell more of their stories, I think we're going to see more diversity in the games that are coming to the platform, more diversity in the gamers that are playing these games.
We made this little program to try and enable developers, and it's awesome, but developers are the people should be thinking about.
The types of games that we see in
Tectonica.
genre, in style, in art, in region, in the size of the developers, the story they're trying to tell, it has increased in the last 10 years, and I see that continuing to rise.
Whenever you're building art, it's like it's a part of your soul, right? You're putting yourself out there when you have your art, whether it's a painting or music or a game.
I think it's very important for companies like Microsoft to pay attention and help the independent community. It changes that old way of thinking that you can't break into the industry, and now it actually lets the next generation of people truly dig in. We're going to see so many more new and creative ideas that's going to push and drive innovation moving forward into the future.
That's a big man.
Joining me now is a true champion of indie titles, Mr. Chris Charlotte. Chris, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great, thank you.
Awesome, it's so good to have you here at Gamescom and chat to you where it all began for Idea Xbox. 10 years ago, in 2013, Idea Xbox was born at Gamescom. Can you tell us what a decade really means to you and the team at Xbox?
It's really amazing because it feels like it was yesterday. I'm walking around, I'm getting all these memories, and it feels like yesterday, but it was actually 10 years. It's like 20% of the length of the game industry ago. And to me, the fact that we're still seeing incredible support for indie games just shows like how foundational they've become to Xbox and to the game industry too. So it's just super cool.
Yeah, super cool. I totally agree. Speaking of memories, things like that, I hear there's quite a fun story about Gamescom and how you came about with the name Idea Xbox. Care to share with us?
Sure, yeah. So now it can be told. We changed the name of the program 3 times in the 3 days before Gamescom. So we started with a name, we all looked at it and trying to convince ourselves it was okay, and we're like, oh, that's not it.
Material.
So we had another meeting, we had our new name, and we were looking at it, and it was a 3-letter acronym, which we love at Microsoft. We have the Developer Acceleration Program, 3-letter acronym. But somebody just looked at it, a VP, and he just walked up to the whiteboard and crossed it out and just wrote ID at Xbox, independent developers at Xbox. You can't make it an acronym, you have to say it. It's just too important to like leave to an acronym. And we're all just like, that's it, we're ordering new business cards, and we ordered business cards for the 3rd time in 3 days, changed all the press releases, and 10 years later, I think it was a good name.
I think so too. It fits so well, especially for all of the games that I'm really excited to get hands-on stream, as well as on the booth floor here at Xbox. I mean, we were chatting about Thirsty Suitors. That is one that I really can't wait to find out about. And Little Kitty Big City, obviously.
Thirsty Suitors?
Can you tell us about some of your highlights that you're excited for fans to see over Gamescom?
Oh yeah, well you just named 2 of them. Another Crab's Treasure is another one. It's a Souls-like where you play a crab, which is everything I want in an indie game. And I actually just played Island of Winds like right before we went on, and I hadn't played it before, and it is creepy as heck, and it's just so good. I mean, I only got to play for like 5 minutes, and they just do such a good job of creating this atmospheric, creepy village that I'm just about to get to the first house and explore, and then I now I'm here. But yeah, that game looks really cool. Cocoon. I think we have about a dozen games here from the ID at Xbox program, so super excited for people to check them out. And we've even got a couple games behind closed doors for the press to look at, and so very exciting.
Awesome.
Hey, Brandon.
We need to have more of a chat and go and play these afterwards, because you named two of my favorite things, Souls-likes and horror games, so I can't wait to find out more. So that's what's happening this week and in the present. Can you tell us a little bit more about the future of ID at Xbox?
Yeah, so I mean, ID at Xbox has always been about empowering developers, and at GDC we announced we were going to make a couple changes to just try and do that
Let's
better.
step away for a
always
little
trying
bit.
to
I'll be
improve.
back.
And actually Monday we launched a new portal for developers in the ID at Xbox program. If they go to their dev portal, you have to have an NDA and all that kind of thing. You can now directly pitch a game to Microsoft for a deal such as Game Pass or another deal opportunity. And it used to be that you sort of had to meet somebody or know somebody, and we're always eager to meet people, but we can't meet everybody, and now any developer is going to be able to pitch their game, and we think that's just a great step to making sure that we see all the awesome content, and that means we can find the best games to share with Xbox players.
Sounds great. Definitely more accessible. I'm going to check out how to sign up as well. Where can developers find out more about that then?
Yeah, if they just go to xbox.com/ID, they can learn all about the program. And if you go to our YouTube channel, you can see lots of cool games.
We all love cool games. Well, Chris, thank you so much for chatting with us. We'll catch up over some games later, but we're going to find out more about 33 Immortals later today as well. Check out the latest maps in Flight Simulator, and I hear Phil Spencer's going to stop by and have a wee chat on the booth too. First, let's have a look at ID at Xbox's Steam World build and Worldless.
You see all those stars up there? That's where we'll live once we escape this world.
How will we get all the way up there, Pa?
I'll show you, hon. First, how about we build us a nice little town?
Okay, let's go.
We'll need the help of a whole lot of Steambots to make sure we get all the resources.
How will we do that, Pa?
We're gonna find all we need deep in the mines.
Are you gonna work in a mine, Pa?
No, I'll leave that to the professionals.
Oh no! Monsters! What do we do now?
Let's build us some defenses.
Hey, what are you doing?
They're collecting pieces of our rocket, hon.
Wow! When do we leave?
Real soon, hon. How about you search us a new home?
Hooray! I'll be at the observatory. I'll look for the nicest, best star. It will also have a movie theater, a roller coaster, and
Gamescom, it's Melly, and I'm so excited to help host this massive Xbox booth. We've got so much in store throughout this show, and I can't wait for you to see it. But now it's time for another Xbox Game Pass Ultimate giveaway. So type !day1 in Twitch chat to be entered. But that's not all. We've been excited about this next title since it's made a splash earlier this summer on our Xbox Game Showcase and Extended. And now we're going to talk about 33 Immortals, and for that we have Nicola here. So Nicola, welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. Gamescom is always fire everywhere. It's fun. It's energizing. I love it.
That's so amazing. But first off, we got to start with a feature fans are excited about. So tell us more about Pick Up and Raid. So what can fans expect?
Yes. So traditionally, like in Raid, you have to like create a big group and plan a lot of things to like solve these kind of intricate puzzles. On our end, we want to try with 33 models to change the vibe of this and do a fresh take on this.
Yeah.
So what we want to propose to the player is that you open the game and you just jump into a fight right away, like without any wait and any planification. So let's say you're a player, you're alone, you go in alone and you just go through a portal and you'll be already fighting hordes of monsters and epic bosses. And you won't do it alone. You'll be also with 32 other players.
So what if I don't have 32 friends?
Exactly. Well, who does? Well, we do have 32 friends minimum. I hope for you. But let's be honest. Do they play always the same game as you at the same time? No, they don't. And I think on my end, I only have like 2 or 3 that are at the same time playing the same thing. And this is what we wanted to also like avoid. It's going to be a seamless experience where you just jump in, matchmaking will be done automatically, and people will just join in. You can join alone and also with other people as well. You'll be able to queue up with a little party if you want of your own with friends, because we have friends, right?
Of course.
And then you'll be able to join and face all the different challenges and have tons of fun.
That sounds so amazing, actually. But what is your take on usual raid-like player roles?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
What is your take on usual raid-like player roles, like tanks, support?
So on our game, what we wanted to tackle is the fact that we are different. But in the same time, all the players start the same. So all we do with this is that we equip a weapon, and this weapon will define your role. We will use 4 different roles, tank, support, ranged, and melee. So, for instance, we have the Bow of Hope. If you take that, that means you have a bow, you'll do damage from afar. That's more my style and more my gameplay. And this is like just our ranged fighter. On the other hand, we have the Justice Sword, and with this one, you can dash. You can dish a lot of damage, and also you have a special attack that makes you guard. So it's more of a tank on the tank role. We'll make sure that we build these weapons to have all these roles supported. We are now working on the support and also on the melee one, and all this together will give like good gameplay combination.
That sounds so amazing, Nicola. And I mean, this game is about so much more than just life and death. So please take us through how players begin the story and what progressing means to your like overall goal.
Yeah. So our game, in fact, we start as a player that now is dead and is going to eternal life.
Okay.
And in fact, in this, the Almighty looked at you and saw that your life was full of sins and problems. So he's giving you eternal
33 souls?
punishment. So it's not dramatic at all.
So we're fighting the last judgment, basically.
Almost.
Okay.
So then, when you go into the game, we took inspiration of the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, which is a poem from the 14th century, an Italian poem. And you start in the dark woods, this place where all the players will gather, and you're this like wandering souls, and other souls will come, and you just don't wait for your eternal life. You want to challenge the Almighty. So you'll take all these players with you, and you go to the gate, and you go through Inferno, Purgatorio, and then Paradiso, while facing tons of like monsters and epic bosses. And then after that, you will go through these things, but you may also die. Dying is part of the process. And, well, as bad as it sounds.
Of course, but I got you.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that every time you'll play, you'll get some new potential upgrades. We have like a perk system that you'll be able to equip that will affect your weapons, your stats, and you'll get more and more experience the more you play, the more you'll be accustomed to the game, and then you'll play through more and more, and the more you'll go, the more you'll be able to like go through all these challenges that are just ramping difficulty through the whole game with all these 3 steps.
That sounds so amazing. But
Ooh, will they
Nicola,
show
can you tell us a bit more
Star
where
Wars
the
Rebels?
name
What it was
comes from?
called?
Yes. In fact, to do 3 Morlos, we
Maybe
at
not
the
the
beginning of the
Xbox One,
game,
but
we it was the development started in 2018, and we are a small studio, and we decided to have a brand new team that will take care of this game because it's an online game. It's something different that we did before. So it started with 3 people, and now we're 22, which is pretty nice. And at the beginning, we wanted to have we wanted to have 100 players. We were a bit dreaming.
Of course.
Which
you
is
have
good.
to dream big,
Exactly.
right? And then you condense it to something more manageable.
Exactly, but it's exactly this, through brainstorms and realizing what we need to make sure that the raid experience is nice and enjoyable, and also by discovering that in the Divine Comedy, every chapter has 33 chants. Chants, CHAANTS. Then we realized that, maybe 33 is the magic number, and it was the perfect number of players, and then it created the 33 Immortals title.
That is such a cool story. Thank you
Yes.
for sharing
Be
it.
right back
And,
again,
can
dog
you tell
needs
us a
me.
bit more about the art style? Because it's not only fun to play, I bet. It also looks amazing.
Yes, so in fact, at Under Lotus, we are renowned, I think, I'll say renowned, to do beautiful and crafted game in 2D art style, which is for animation and all the scenery everywhere. It's beautiful, and it's a challenge because on our end, and as you see on some of the gameplay, it's a top-down view, so it's a different view that we haven't tackled before. And the fact of keeping this aesthetic that is very hand-drawn with the challenge of having this crisp gameplay and good gameplay experience, it's a challenge, but we did it, and we're very proud of what we have right now.
And you've been working on it since 2018. That's
It's a lot.
very long time.
It's good that we'll be launching soon.
How many times have you changed directions?
Not so much. In fact, it was more a matter of having not so much people, and then it takes time because you're not a big team. And the team got bigger. It's nice. Now we're 22. We're super happy. But when you are a few people, it takes time before it just develops. And yes, there was some changes here and there, but it's just normal through like game development, and we're pretty happy of where we are right now currently.
That sounds so amazing. So Nicola, finally, when can the community get their hands on the game? So when can we start playing?
Yes, so we're an online game, so we'll need help and feedback of player before our launching date. So early next year, we will clearly have some moments where we'll need players to come in. And players, please all come in, go subscribe on 33immortals.com, and you can join our Discord as well to join the community. And it's going to be great. We need people, we need feedback. We want to do the game for the community as well and for the people. And it's going to be good for us to just make sure that we balance everything out properly. Early next year, it's going to be great, and then we'll ship later next year as well.
That sounds so amazing. Nicola,
Alright,
thank
I've got a
you
work
so
meeting
much for
coming up,
being
so I'm
here and
gonna
for
mute
sharing
myself for
all
a
the
bit.
information about 33
I'll be
Immortals.
back
and
on
I
after.
really can't wait to start playing myself.
Subscribe.
Obviously. I will. I was just taking notes, and you will see me on the Discord, trust me.
Excellent.
So, we've got more in store today, including a chat with Phil Spencer, new updates from Microsoft Flight Sim, and a world premiere you've just got to see. But first, here's Benny with a quick look at the Xbox booth tour we've got coming up tomorrow.
Welcome to the world's largest Xbox playground. At more than 45,000 square feet, this booth is not only 4 times the size of what we brought last year, but it's also the ultimate Xbox Gamescom fan experience. We've got a lot more in store tomorrow with a full booth tour, but here's a taste of the booth experiences you just can't miss. The first thing everyone will see is the huge Starfield experience towering over the booth. This is a 300-person theater where fans will be able to experience the opening of the game for the first time ever. Forza Motorsport has the best parking spot in the booth, and fans will be able to see super fast German sedans race around Spa in a Builders Cup career demo. We're also celebrating Porsche's 75th anniversary with a beautiful Taycan and 6 custom Xbox Series X consoles. We just shadow dropped it at One Night Live last night, but fans here don't need to miss out. We're giving them a chance to play Age of Empires 4 on console with a controller. Then there's the chance to play the new medieval fantasy masterpiece, Towerborn. Looking for a new and unique title? The Idea Xbox experience should be your next stop. Plus, we're celebrating ID's 10-year anniversary. Then it's Cyberpunk 2077's turn to WoW, with game stations featuring the new expansion, Phantom Liberty. Now here is a selfie that I thought I'd never take. Leave it to the Elder Scrolls Online to shake me to my very core. And right over here is where you can get ready for takeoff with Microsoft Flight Sim. Plus, fans of the Zone can finally get their hands on Stalker 2. Want more booth action? Stay tuned tomorrow when we walk the floor.
Our trail had led us from the Yorkshire moors to Berlin, Paris, and now the tiny village of Montségur, high up in the mountains of the Pyrenees. So here I was, remembering a murderous clown, a deadly explosion, and a day that changed my life forever. Merci beaucoup, monsieur. Sounds like we're in danger.
We are.
Well, let's get a drink and you can bring me up to speed.
I do believe it's your round.
Sure, un vin blanc, coming up. And if you see a clown.
From the Kiev, so it's very close. We want to both give this experience and give a heavy story, and also bring very realistic, not realistic, but the game should looks like it's realistic. So there are a lot of details to the weapons, to the attached upgrades, and it's, yeah.
Can I dive into that for a second? I'm curious, one of the locations you've shown in a lot of the trailers is the, you end up gameplay mechanic wise leaning more into a military sim style gameplay?
We don't plan to do it military style, so we don't think that Stalker is about military. It's about a regular human whose life somehow leads that this person wants to go to the zone and find something there from himself, and it's very different from everyone who goes to the zone. I mean, the stalkers who are there and the players who play as a stalker, and we wanted to give the experience and feeling how you could feel in real life, because the Chernobyl zone and Stalker map is very close to what you can find actually in real place. So
did you go to the real place actually?
Yeah, we've been there a lot, and it's very important to do this game. And it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. I don't think there is somewhere else a place like this where it is a town that's become abandoned in like one day, when all one who lived there, they just have to be evacuated without taking any clothes, anything, and it looks totally frozen moment, and it's super. It's not frightening. It's amazing, and it's impossible to make it somewhere else, because it would cost just a lot of money just to evacuate whole the city, and the nature takes its part there. So the trees start to grow through the asphalt. There are trees growing on top of the buildings, like you see the five level building, so it's high and there is a tree, and it looks so futuristic and fantastic and amazing. And getting this experience helps a lot to do this game, to understand what we want to show. We want to give a portion of this experience too, and because of this real place, and it's just like 120 kilometers from the Kyiv, so it's very close, and we want to both give this experience and give a heavy story, and also bring very realistic, not realistic, but the game should looks like it's realistic. So there are a lot of details to the weapons, to the attached upgrades, and it's, yeah.
Can I dive into that for a second? I'm curious, one of the locations you've shown in a lot of the trailers is the array. For example, the radar array. Mm-hmm. I think it's called the Dungar array. I don't know that specifically.
You mean the trailer, right?
Just in Stalker 2 footage that we've seen.
Yeah. So it's an Duga. It's an actual construction. What was built by military? It was secret. Why it's there, but the most realistic explanation is that it's a big radar that can find if someone will launch the nuclear missile, ballistic missile on other part of the planet. The signals will go and bounce through the atmosphere, and this big radar could get this information and inform about this.
What is it in your universe, though? Because it's all electrified, and it seems like there's anomalies there. I'm curious to learn more.
It's just a location. It's not a key part. Like, it's not a character of the game. It's just a. It's more like a decoration, big decoration. There is a story around it, but it's not. It's not taken as something very key. There is. I don't want to make spoilers, but yeah, that's one of the key.
Yeah, Yevgeny, I would love to have more time with you, but we are out of time for this interview. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm very happy that you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Also, yeah, thank you. And thank you for watching. For more on all things Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl, keep it right here at IGN. And for more on all things Gamescom, also keep it right here on IGN.
Be there. Be strong. Be fierce. Be better. Be different. Be winning. Be epic. Be you at Gamescom 23. Come and be everything.
And it's actually pretty challenging for returning players as well, so they really wanted to make sure that it catered to two different audiences, and I think they did a great job of that. Immediate feedback on how much damage you're doing, and then
I mean, those wallpapers alone are fantastic. The city update and the Dorney, it looks so cool, especially the airport that a lot of us flew into here at Cologne Airport. It looks so cool. You must be so proud of it. When can fans get their hands on it? When's it's releasing?
Well, so for the airport was for the people of Cologne. We made the Cologne Airport. Here we go. Enjoy. Yeah, so just about the DoX a little bit more. So it was designed by famous aircraft designer Claude Dornier. And it was actually the idea was to compete with the big ocean liners of the time. Think Titanic and the ones that made it. So they built 3 of them. And what was interesting is it was only 3 because it was commercially not successful. But they took a famous flight. You saw it in the trailer, from Germany to South America to New York. And there was like all these awesome pictures of it at the Statue of Liberty and all that stuff. But all those planes were lost. And I really wanted to make this as a local legend, and I'd almost given up. I spent 2 years researching this, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't find anything. And then I was happily finding this individual, Peter Kielhorn, and he is the initiator of the DoX rebuild project, and he's also the president of the DoX Foundation. and they are trying to rebuild the DOX to scale, in real life, in Hildesheim by the 100th anniversary. So in 2029 it's supposed to be done. And they gave us all the plans and everything. Because typically we have museums and we can visit those plans. Here was nothing. And just because of these people, I just want to say big shout out. That is how we could actually create this plane and preserve it. Because we have this idea of digital preservation in Flight Sim, where planes of the past that are oftentimes lost can be enjoyed by generations of the future. So we did that. So happy with it.
Jörg, that's such a beautiful story, honestly. It's so present, the passion and attention to detail that you and the team have in Flight Simulator. It's such a vibrant game from the last few years, but I'm curious what you think makes it so special.
I mean, there's a Flight Sim community and they make us special. So there's literally hundreds of thousands or millions of people. Their number one hobby in life is aviation. They know everything about planes. And they push us all the time. They want all kinds of details, and they keep saying we need to add this and this and this and this. That has been pushing us forward a lot, and it's super fun, actually. And then there's a creator community, is also interesting, because we have an SDK. So there's about 2,000 companies and individuals. They make airplanes, airports, all kinds of cool add-ons. And it's a vibrant marketplace. We have a marketplace in the sim that has over 2,500 add-ons. And that alone, that is keeping us fresh. Every morning when I get up, I go on the computer and say, what did they do? And it's always like, it's like opening chocolate. It's awesome.
That's so, so lovely to hear. I mean, speaking about the future and what's coming as well, there is a new Flight Simulator that we can look forward to next year. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Flight Sim 2024. It is by far the biggest undertaking ever in simulation. The team is almost 500 people now. We've been working hard. We're adding realistic aviation activities. So it's not just you, the plane, and the planet. It's what planes actually do in real life. So it's if you're interested in aviation at all, this is the one. And I think we're going to have it here next year at Gamescom. I'm really looking forward to showing it.
Well, I can't wait to see it as well. Jörg, congratulations to you and the team again, and the community as well. Thank you so much for chatting with us here at Gamescom today. And from one fan favorite to another, we're going to catch up with the team behind Age of Empires Anniversary Edition to find out what it takes to make such an iconic PC title work on consoles. Let's go.
Welcome to World's Edge, home to the beloved Age of Empires franchise. We've been on a journey to continue the legacy of creating world-class real-time strategy games that started over 25 years ago.
That legacy is all thanks to you, the fans.
You inspire us to develop new ideas and evolve our games.
In 2021, we partnered with the award-winning studio Relic Entertainment to push the franchise into a new era with our latest title, Age of Empires 4.
It was a global event that heralded a new chapter of storytelling and strategy.
Age of Empires 4 humanizes the compelling stories from that historical time and presents a new perspective through engaging gameplay.
It challenges you to make history your story.
And what better way to do that than with a trebuchet?
Did you hear that whoosh? In the first year of Age of Empires 4, we added new civilizations, new seasons, and features that fans were very excited about.
But there was always something else that fans wanted.
We kept hearing the same thing over and over.
When are you bringing it to Xbox?
We're so excited that finally all the content in Age of Empires 4 is now available on the Xbox console.
But figuring out how to make it for a console audience was easier said than done.
It was impossible to go to any social media platform where the Age of Empires account was posting, where there was not a comment underneath saying, when is it coming to Xbox?
We knew that it was important, especially from the perspective of being able to bring RTS and Age to as many people as possible.
We'd been talking about it for a long, long time, but it had always come back down to that key factor of getting RTS from PC and mouse onto a controller. You get the defensive stance like, you can't do this. Like, well, why do you feel that way? Well, I'm gonna have to like move a fake mouse around. Okay, we're not doing that. A controller is a drive mechanism. You're driving a character, you're driving a viewpoint. You are driving something through an environment. How do we make that work? How do we find a solution? We have these ideas, but we can't build the game internally. We're only like, we're not a huge RTS studio, but we would love to go look for partners. And the first team on our list that we want to talk to was Relic about doing Age 4.
Relic has been making RTS games for 25 years, and Age of Empires has always been a reference point.
It's truly a global effort between so many different teams. Climax,
Forgotten Empires, Relic, and the World's Edge.
World's Edge brought in Climax Studios in the UK, who had a background in console games.
Climax Studios is a real powerhouse when it comes to user interface elements.
And we felt that they could bring a unique perspective to building out the control scheme.
There was a port once upon a time. In 2001, I played it and I hated it. I hated everything about it. So we have a history, even within our franchise, of how not to do a port.
If we were forced to port it, we probably never would have done it.
Our challenge was we're bringing in Age 4, which has some extra complexities over Age 2. How are we going to make that work? What we found is we could actually use that framework to bring the game into its own.
This game is basically a redesign from the ground up.
Age of Empires 4 is a different engine. It wasn't just a case of doing what Age 2 did. We had to build it all from the ground up.
You have players sitting in the living room away from the TV. We have to reconsider all the UI menus and all the in-game HUDs to make sure they're as legible, as high contrast as possible.
The whole development team knew that micromanaging individual villagers was going to be difficult on console.
We have introduced a lot of automation systems.
All of us as game designers and game creators are always seeking that next thing. Like, how do we evolve the experience? How do we move it forward, right?
There are two that really stand out. First one is called the Villager Priority System.
The Villager Priority System is something we came up with in Age 2 because we were after that idea of like, okay, how do we stop the console player from having to do this insane amount of micromanagement of their villagers? Based on a pie chart, you can say like, hey, 50% of my people are gonna go work on wood, and 25% are gonna go work on food, and the rest are gonna go work on gold. And they'll just start working on them. Now, if you want to change that, we've added all these cool settings for mid-game, early game, wood rush.
That were designed by our pro players. So these presets are not just something that were slapped together.
Those, or you can turn it off and do everything manually. It's up to you.
We also have the site menu system
that allows you to quickly issue a command contextually on the ground.
It's context sensitive, so it'll bring up the right structure that you can build at that spot. In Age, you were always relegated to having to select a villager, bring up the build menu, click the item that you want, and then drop that build foundation on the battlefield. Now with the SMS, you don't have to do that anymore. You can literally pan the camera over to a spot, bring up your production radial, drop a build foundation there, and a villager will automatically be selected to start the build process on that particular foundation.
The kind of magic to the radio menu is that it
But
allows
that villager
you to do many things at
will
the
stop
same
doing
time.
something that I
With the
think you
console
thought it
version
might
of
have
Age of Empires
wanted
4,
it to
we
do,
also added a
or be
new
doing.
find menu feature. This is a unique radio menu that allows you to quickly find and locate units or buildings or a collection of buildings in the midst of battle.
Those were the primary things that the minute we had them working, we're like, those are in the Age 4 console.
And we often joke between the designers that some of us even prefer to play on the controller now because it is so good.
This was something bigger than a port. This was something that we had to approach the way that one would approach starting out a project from scratch.
Age of Empires 4 on controller is a new experience. Because of that, we knew we needed to design a new entry point.
When we're making tutorials, one of the things that we always try to do is figure out a way to make them not now do this, now click on this. Like, how do we build it into the experience?
He first needed to get a lay of the land.
The Rise of King tutorial is a completely new story within Age of Empires 4.
For a whole new audience, we wanted to bring them through an experience that was a great storytelling experience.
A collection of large rocks caught Guillaume's eye. Wary of hidden threats, he decided to investigate.
But also introduced mechanics to them in a progressive way in which they could learn from it.
We definitely ran into things where we realized that some of the ways that we were building graphics and units were not as optimized as they need to be for something like a console to run really smoothly. But there were things there that actually ended up improving the PC game as well.
I really hope that when we bring all these new console players into Age of Empires 4 for the very first time, that they get to share that enjoyment and everything that we love about the game with their friends and their families, much like I did with my dad when I was growing up. Well, that community is so special to me. I met my wife playing Age of Empires, and maybe when we have children, they'll play Age of Empires too.
So my favorite thing about Age of Empires is the diverse civilizations that are represented. Even the language is representative of the civilizations for that time period. That dialogue grows or changes as the civilization ages up and the time periods change. I've worked in the RTS genre for over 29 years. I'm very genuine in saying that I actually prefer to play RTS games now with the controller.
You get all of the campaigns, all of our civilizations.
And most importantly, mods. Mods will be supported at launch day.
Age of Empires 4 is available now on Xbox consoles and cloud.
We took great care and attention to bring this game to console players, and we hope you're as excited to play it as we are to share it with you.
There's never been a better time to pick up a controller and start making history.
We'll see you on the battlefield.
I'm back. I can still be working a little bit, but I can talk now.
Well, we just saw how it was made. I think maybe now it's time to play it for real on console, finally. But first, I'm going to ask you to head to Twitch chat for your chance to win a month of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So now, please everyone join me in welcoming Chris Rubio to the Xbox stage. Chris, how are you doing today?
I am doing awesome.
It's been a pretty good 24 hours, right? We had Age of Empires 4 Anniversary Edition Shadow drop yesterday onto Game Pass from Opening Night Live. I know it's been a short amount of time, but what has the reaction been like so far?
It's been just overwhelmingly positive.
I like that answer. That's what I was hoping you'd say.
We met with, I've met with a lot of players that have come to our booth. They're like, wow, thank you for bringing it to console. We've been waiting a long time for this.
Yep.
People that have played it tell us, wow, that it's amazing how you even got it to work. What was the mad science behind that?
What were you doing?
A lot of magic and a lot of goodness went into it, but it's been a very, very awesome. The shadow drop was
yeah, we
great.
do love a shadow drop, don't we? Well, we're going to be digging into all of that, but you are here to showcase everything what the team of World's Edge have been working on, and we're going to be doing a live gameplay segment for you all. So we're going to go through Skirmish, and before I do any of the nerdy questions in my head about how you've done it, I'm going to ask you some nerdy questions about what we're going to be looking at here. So what have you got set up for us?
So today we'll be diving into Skirmish, but I want to walk players through a lot of the changes that we made.
Yeah, go for it.
You've heard us. If you watched the documentary, we literally rebuilt the front end and a lot of all of the tactical UI. We built it from the ground up, redesigned it so it would work incredibly well on the console. And so I would love to show that off to players and everything that we've done.
The floor is all yours, my darling.
Sweetness. So let's jump in. So this is for the Xbox, we created a brand new front end. And by the way, I love that I'm all the way back here like 8 feet. Incredibly readable. So this is awesome. Very easy to navigate through our various menus that we created. Just you can RB through everything. And again, still kind of it has a lot of the colors and flares that our PC version did, but again, redesigned so that you can couch play from almost 8 feet away, which is awesome.
Let's just pause a moment. At no point on the screen does it say Age of Empires, but I know what I'm looking at, and you've got an Xbox and controller in your hand. So there you go.
It's awesome.
Job done.
So we're going to go into single player today.
Done.
And we're going to set up a skirmish. But I've already set up a skirmish.
This is one I made earlier.
This is one I made earlier so that we can jump in. And more importantly, it'll enable me to talk about all the cool stuff that we've done.
Nice.
And hopefully not get destroyed by the AI. So,
well, also I'm going to make sure you aren't distracted and you do talk to me during
Yes, that's right.
Because I've heard that you go into focus mode somewhat.
I go into combat mode. So
which I love because I'm not a combat girly. I like to build my civilizations. I like to make them look very beautiful. And then at the end I'm like, I suppose I need to go bash someone up now.
I do that too. I'm actually quite the builder. And then, I get a lot of better players than me that come over and stomp my base. I'm like, I probably should have been focused on making a cool base.
It's all about turtling the wonder in the base for me. That's how I go for it.
So it's awesome. So we're going to be playing today. We got the English versus the French.
Yep.
Very tried and true classic matchup.
Indeed.
We're going to start with our base kind of already pre-made. And if players out there haven't checked it out, we've released Empire Wars. Which is a kind of a really cool fast start in the game. And Age of Empires 4 is a little bit different than Age of Empires 2. The civs are slightly more asymmetric. So Empires Wars was designed, each civilization starts and was handcrafted to start at the right start that you would expect them to be at that point in time. So a lot of passion and love went into making that mode super awesome. So what we see here is basically the base that I've set up. I got a bunch of workers right here in idle, but more importantly, it's like, well, what's all that UI on the screen?
Because that is the first thing, especially so you go from PC gameplay, and if you've never played it on console, Age 2 came out early this year. If you've not had a chance to play that yourself, it even looks different to that one as well as soon as you load in somewhat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've went in, you know, we've made a lot of modifications, and our goal is to literally streamline the interface, but at the same time make it incredibly accessible and easy to read for couch play.
Yes,
so
definitely.
one of the first things any PC player would notice is like, oh my gosh, the resource bar is in the top center of the screen. It's on the PC, it's in the lower left. And we found on the console,
thank you for the ad.
we found on the console that that placement is really nice, makes it super easy to read, and we got a lot of learnings actually came from Age of Empires 2. Kudos to that team for an awesome job that they did. So we were able to tap into a lot of that and literally kind of define out. So as I go through the screen in a clockwise motion, we have our resource bar at the top. We have kind of our tribute menu that you can access, you know, with various commands. You'll also see a bunch of little helper widgets, and those were purposely done so there's, you know, it's not mouse and keyboard. It is, you need to, you know, as a new player, it's very helpful to understand which inputs you got to press to access various bits of functionality. The lower right-hand corner, that's kind of your tried and true mini-map.
Indeed, yeah.
You can expand your mini-map, which is a really cool bit of functionality. You can hold down the Y button. You can actually super fast scroll.
It's seamless.
Yep. You can drop camera markers, which I'm going to do here. One more, and then that's a terrible spot for a marker, but I'll drop one right there for the purpose of demo. And then what you can do too on the mini-map is you can just literally just jump around based on those waypoints that you set. So entirely up to the player, however they want to play. And the toolbar, or I should say the D-pad controls that you see in the center of this bottom center there, those are what we call a quick find menu, and it allows players, kind of like hotkey shortcuts on the PC. It allows you to jump to various units, structures that you have on the battlefield. For example, if I press D-pad up, I can cycle through all my idle villagers very quickly.
There they are.
If I want to go to my military, I can press D-pad left, boom. I'm right there with a group of units, and I can kind of cycle through them. Now, if I want, I can actually select all my idle villagers just by holding D-pad up.
Right, you've thought this through, haven't you?
It makes it super simple.
In fact, if we can for a moment, I just want to pause the game. We're going to cut away from the gameplay very quickly. Chat's probably going to know why. And I want to ask you a little bit about what work you've done in the background to try and get it to like the testing phase. And we even heard in that Vidoc just then that I think it's yourself or maybe a lot of other people are really, really excited about playing on controller now.
Yeah, so we have, we've spent, I should say, both teams, Age of Empires 2 and 4, we spent many months and thousands of hours basically hammering away. We methodically went through the keyboard and mouse inputs and essentially broke them down, figured out how all of that would map and translate to the controller. And then once we got it all done on paper, after many months, we started prototyping, we started iterating, we started playing what worked, what didn't work, started throwing things out, bringing stuff back. So it was just a constant phase of development where we were just trying and experimenting until we landed on what you see here today. And we're really happy. The team, kudos to all the teams, our partner teams that worked on this. We have something that is truly amazing, and honestly, I've said this before. If you watch the videos, I, as an RTS player, I should say, as an RTS developer that's worked in the genre for about 29 years now, I actually prefer to play with the controller.
Well, let's go back in the hot seat then. Do some movements for us. I want to see. Do the thing again where you select all the villagers.
So I press up on the D-pad.
Go on. Oh, there we go.
Which is super awesome. If you think about it, it's like
so good.
And that's what I love about the controller is everything. Everything on the D-pad is at your fingertips. It's you no longer have two input devices. Everything's been focused down to one. And we've gone in, we've intelligently designed the controller in such a way that it just makes everything feel really intuitive, natural. And why I say that is because that carries through across both products, Age 2 and Age 4. So if you're an Age 2 player and you're like, I'm going to go download Age 4 right now.
Which you should, if you haven't, by the way.
Absolutely. You're going to be able to pick up the controller and start playing right away, and it's going to feel, you're going to feel right at home. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can play this without having to relearn it. No, that was intentionally done because this blueprint that we have was designed so not only in the present is it awesome, but we can also carry it forward into the future with other iterations. So I got am I getting attacked by the AI? Look at that, I'm talking.
Here we are chatting and you're under fire.
Yeah, so what I want to show off are a couple cool innovations.
Go on.
These are absolutely critical to players out there. The first one is called the Villager Priority System, and this is key. I love this system with a passion, and I got to say, this is actually a new innovative feature for the genre as a whole. You know, I was saying to our creative director, I'm like, how did we not think of this 10 years ago? and we laugh about it. But that's how cool of a feature it really is. So how it works is you essentially bring up this really cool radial. You hold down the left trigger, press an RS, and it brings up this radial. And this radial has a bunch of different presets that are broken up into various kind of like pie chart-like fashions. These are all weighted based on resource type. So
instead of dragging and dropping individual folks as they come out of the village, it's just already managed.
This is where it gets really good. I got it all set up. So oh my God, that's amazing. So we're gonna focus in on this economic one. But if you can use these presets. They were designed by our pro players on our team. We have some basic ones that if you're like me, you can just kind of set it and go. But depending on phase of gameplay, you can actually shift in and out of presets based on if I need more gold, need more stone.
Well, that's end game is when you need more gold. You don't really need it at start,
And you can pivot your villagers accordingly, and this governance system will take care of all that for you. Now, of course, if you're super pro, you can go in.
Which we are.
Yeah.
We are.
You can go in and customize your own VPS settings.
Okay.
So you have a custom setting for the pro players, or your average, individuals like myself, or your presets, which are more geared towards me. And let me show everybody how this works, because this is awesome. So I'm going to select the economic preset down here, very basic, straightforward. Click a button, and you watch all those idle villagers.
Off they go.
They're put to work. And let me show you an amazing pairing. So you take the Villager Priority System and you combine it with a new feature that we added to Age of Empires 4 on the Xbox, which is auto-train villagers on your TC. So now you get auto-train villagers going, and essentially you'll be booming in no time.
Just showing off now.
And it's awesome. So these features, made perfect sense to pair these two.
Yeah.
And anybody out there, try it out. You're gonna love it. Once you can't go back. I was playing the PC the other day, and we're working on PC, iterating and changing things. I'm like, I had so much wood. I'm like, why are my villagers collecting wood? I'm like, oh gosh, I forgot. I'm on the PC, not the console, and you got to manually go in. But people, players love that level of micro. So we want to make sure that we give player the agency to do either or. This system really helps bolster the console experience. So, and that's why we added it. And Age of Empires 2 is the first one to add it. We brought the system in. We've made some additional tunings to it to make it work even better. And over time, you're just going to see the system in the Age series just grow and grow and just become super awesome.
Absolutely love it.
I got one more. Do we have time?
Oh, of course we've got time. All the time in the world.
So another feature that we added to Age of Empires Xbox was the ability to build anywhere you want without having to select a villager. This is key. So normally in the past, you had to select a villager and bring up the command bar on the PC. It's in the bottom.
Yep.
I didn't show this earlier. Gosh darn it. And here, this is the build radial. So let me talk about it now. This is the build radial. And on the console, we've broken up the build features across 4 different categories. You have economy, defense, military, and age up. So, and I'll back out of that, bring it back up again. And all of this is easily accessible through the D-pad. Purposely designed so players eventually can map all this in their brains to, I'll just go to economy and eventually get it. So very well done. So with the site menu system, no longer do you have to select a villager. You can simply say, cursor over this resource pile, hit the right trigger, and it's going to bring up the right structure that you can place at that particular pile.
And then the way that you've weighted the villagers to work, people will go build it, and then they'll go mine it.
One villager will automatically be assigned, and it'll start building. And the great thing is, once this villager is done, the VPS system will capture that villager and put it back to work.
Oh my days.
So it's super awesome. And of course, that's with resource piles, so it's context sensitive on demand. You can also cursor over the terrain, bring up the menu, go to your build system, and it brings up the villager radio. And at that point, say I want to build more military structures, simply select the military structure, build one, and it's going to select the nearby villager, and off you go. So again, some really awesome niceties that we added to the game to just further bolster the console experience and reduce APM on the player.
So good. Now, there might be some people in chat who saw the news yesterday as well, who might be brand new to this whole experience, and there is a tutorial that's been added called Rise of the King. I wonder if we could just touch on that very quickly.
Absolutely. So the Rise of the King tutorial was created for the Xbox experience. It's broken up across 5 different missions. and it was designed to teach players the basics, the core, your core inputs, your basic Age concepts, as well as teach players the fundamentals like base building, resource management, and of course the biggie, combat. So it takes players through all of these different phases of gameplay across 5 missions. Now, we didn't want to just build an onboarding experience that was do this, do that. We wanted something that was narratively driven and tied into the historical component that we created for Age of Empires 4. Yeah. So we decided to create a prelude to the main campaign of the game, which follows William the Conqueror starting in 1047, and it takes you all the way up to 1066 with a landing in England up to the Battle of Hastings.
There it is.
So when you move into the main campaign, you'll actually start off right where you left off in the tutorial.
Oh, you lot are well smart. Well done. So the Xbox mantra that we all know and love is very much play how you want, when you want, and wherever you want. And that's very important because now we've enabled 2 and 4 of the Age franchise on Xbox consoles. How does it feel to be continuing to support that mantra?
It's awesome. It's an opportunity for us to get Age in the hands of millions of new gamers around the world. That may never have the opportunity to experience this game. Always wanted to experience this game, but for whatever reason, they couldn't. So now, through Game Pass and Xbox, they can go online, they can download it, and have a great experience. And so for us, it's an opportunity, a chance for players to play on the platform they want and play comfortably on the input device that they want.
And comfortably on the sofa as well.
The sofa, which,
on
by the way,
sofa.
is super awesome.
It's pretty good. Chat, by the way, I want to know, hands up in chat if you have got it installed, because I want to see everyone just get very, very excited. It has been a little bit of time since it's been announced, so fingers crossed you have. But before we go, I must ask, because I'm also very excited. I hear you've got a big announcement for us, something you want to share, maybe?
I am thrilled.
Thrilled
and have the privilege of being able to announce to everyone around the world that the biggest expansion released for Age of Empires 4 is coming soon. It's called The Sultan's Ascend. It's packed with a ton of content, and it's going to take players on an epic journey through the Middle East. Now, I can say stay tuned. That's all I can say at this time.
Sorry, chat.
We're going to release more information very shortly, as well as details on how you can go onto your favorite platform and wish list this baby up. So
fantastic.
Super excited, and please, that's good. The expansion's awesome.
I cannot wait to see more. Cannot wait to hear more. Chris, I also want to know when you go home and continue the skirmish, I want to hear how the fight goes before you do it, all right?
Probably going to go terribly.
Nah, I believe in you, I believe in you. Well, thanks again for joining us. And chat, please do not forget, you can play Age of Empires 4 Anniversary Edition on Xbox right now. You didn't think I'd be saying that a few days ago with Xbox Game Pass, as well as PC Game Pass if you haven't tried it out yet. Coming up next, I'm going to be chatting with the big man himself, Phil Spencer, so get mega excited. But first, it made a splash on Opening Night Live, so let's check it out right now. This is the latest from Starfield.
Play it day one with Xbox Game Pass.
It is my distinct pleasure to welcome CEO of Microsoft Gaming, Mr. Phil Spencer, to the stage. How are you, my dear?
I'm well. How are you? It's good to be here.
So good.
How's your first day of Gamescom?
I mean, it's been exciting. I've had a walk around. I've looked at some things, but I've mostly just been sitting here talking Diablo and Age, and now to you. So it's like
I saw the Age demo.
It's kind of like a 10 out of 10.
Who was out here for Diablo?
Diablo, it was Rod and Chris. We're out here.
Roderick was here.
Roderick indeed.
Yeah, good. Good.
Yeah, good vibes. I want to start by saying that the last time we were together, we were sat in the Bethesda London office planning to steal loads of stuff because we're loads of cool
Are we
stuff
saying
behind
planning
us.
because we don't want
Planning,
people to know that we
yes,
did?
Exactly. Well, you've said it now, so I was protecting us.
I still have my stuff.
Well, every time I talk to you, I always ask what you're playing. So I want to know what you're playing and why is it still Vampire Survivors?
No. Well, I am playing Vampire Survivors,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
got all the achievements.
Obviously, yeah.
But now they have couch co-op, and I'm playing with my wife. My wife, Kelly, who doesn't play a ton of video games.
Yep.
So the fact that we can play couch co-op and she's enjoying it, like I'm all in.
As well. Yeah,
So what I'm playing right now on console, I'm playing a lot of Remnant 2. I really like Remnant 2.
Yeah.
It's a great game to play with friends. I had my ROG Ally on the way out here. I'm playing a game called Fist, which is in Game Pass.
Yep.
It's a really nice platformer. I'm playing Brotato. Have you played Brotato?
This is also the first I've heard of it, so please
No.
tell me more. What is that?
So Brotato's not on Xbox. I'll
Okay.
say yet, but I don't have any. Well, it would be great to get on Xbox. It's a Steam game. It's kind of like, let's say it's inspired by Vampire Survivors.
Oh, I see.
But you play as a
You have a
potato.
type.
Yes, yeah, I'm very simple.
Yeah.
I have a small brain. So one stick, move around. But it's a fun game. So I'm playing some Brotato. I just finished, what did I just finish last? Bramble, have you played this game?
No, I've had it recommended a bunch though. Yeah, it's because it's a nice short playthrough, isn't it? As well?
But it's kind of a demented game. Like
A
it starts
demented
off
game.
demented, yeah. It starts off very cute,
Yeah.
and you think, oh, like this is awesome, and then it like goes into some very crazy,
And it
great game,
zags.
great game, but it's like some very dark, let's just say dark places.
Okay, I'll get it on the download queue. That
Yeah,
sounds great.
yeah, it's
Wonderful.
good.
So we're going to focus on Gamescom now. We're going to stop flapping our gums and
Okay.
actually talk. We're in Gamescom, quite literally surrounded by Xbox fans.
50,000 square feet
Yeah.
of Xbox booth.
It's pretty good. And
Biggest
this is,
ever.
This is the first time in a while you've stepped on it as well. So I want to know why it's so important that Xbox has showed up so big this year.
Well, being here, being anywhere, but being in Europe with our customers, with players, with the creators that are here. I did a creator get together both last night, today, met with some partners. It's, you know, it's these moments where the industry comes together, where we can talk to each other, that the consumers can come in, the players can come in, put their hands on games. I just think it's critically important. Obviously, COVID messed up a bunch of things. That's in the rearview mirror. So when you had the opportunity this year to go big at Gamescom, we said, let's go. The other thing that's awesome in the booth is how much third-party support that's here, right? Like Ed Boon's games here, Mortal Kombat's here. We have the DLC for Cyberpunk's here. Like it's just awesome to see how many of our partners, Rod's games here, Diablo, how many of the third-party support on the floor. It's an important thing for us as a platform. And it's just nice to get reconnected back with the community here.
Yeah. And then Starfield over, I feel like I'm showing everyone over
I can't
here.
see it. I can't see it. It's too
Starfield.
small.
Well, it is actually technically massive, to correct you there. And we're only a week away from early access. So how exciting is it seeing this game coming to Xbox and we're so close now?
Yeah, we've been working on it for a long time. I've known about it for even before we acquired ZeniMax. So it's been great to see Todd and the team work more closely with them than we ever have on any game. There aren't that many moments where we get to launch a new IP that has the amount of buzz and anticipation that Starfield does. A lot of games you'll launch that are new IP and then maybe they build into their strength, but like there is just a crazy amount of anticipation. And the thing that I love is the confidence that the team has right now, like putting out review codes 2 weeks before launch, because it's a big game, and I'll be the first to admit, the first 3 to 4 hours are a little bit hunt and peck, figure out like, well, what am I actually doing? Then you get on a side quest or something, and like the game just like blows up in terms of its epic scale. So I love the fact that the team is so confident in giving reviewers time with the game before they're actually reviewing or just talking about what they think of the game.
Yeah, and just behind that, in the rearview mirror, if you will, kind of, I think that's how it works, Forza Motorsport's over there.
Yeah.
And that's out not too long after Starfield, is it?
That's right, that's October. We did a take home 2 weeks ago where we got the kind of the opening of the game. Looks fantastic. I'm a huge motorsport fan.
Yep.
And I'd say Turn 10 for us for a long time in our first party has really been a technical showcase. Like Chris Tector, the team, on the tech side, the stuff that they get the most out of the hardware, I think, of any of our first party teams. They just like, that's their focus, along with building a great racing simulator. And the game looks fantastic. And I can't wait for people to get to play. The ray tracing on track looks great, giving people some options. You'll see all that as they kind of talk about more of the game. But Motorsport is like something that one of those franchises I've played since the beginning, and I can't wait for the full release.
Staple, huh?
Yeah.
It's Motorsport is chef's kiss.
Well, and like kudos to Turn 10. They started with Motorsport, expanded to Horizon, so now they built like a sibling franchise to Motorsport. They've just done such a really good job of growing the relevance of Forza, both for simulation and arcade players. Great job.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Phil, I know one of the things in chat, and many of the fans really appreciate about you, is how much you love to play the games themselves. So I know just over here, if you can't see behind me, we've got the Stalker 2 demo, and you've taken that for a spin as well. It's been 16 years since the original, so can you tell us what stood out to you?
Yeah, Stalker, if you played the first game, has kind of a unique setting and story, and it's really nice to see what they've done in this build of continuing the lore of what Stalker is about, what your role is in the world, and kind of how the world invites you into what your role is and your kind of task. I'm trying to do this without kind of spoiling too much.
You can spoil if you want.
No, it's their game. Like I don't want to do that. But I'll also say, they're a dev that spends a lot of time perfecting the game in terms of the technology. I think they're still on that track. Like they're still, obviously the game's not done. So it's, but yeah, I just love that they've done a good job moving the Stalker kind of world forward, but being very tried and true to what Stalker's about.
Yeah, for sure. And to be totally honest, even under the best circumstances in games development, it's super tough. But for GSC, obviously, it's a bit more complex, their situation they've got there. So I want to know, what does it mean to you to see these guys get here and get a demo out of the door?
Yeah, I've stayed in touch with the team over the years, and especially as you say, like the last couple of years, it's an emotional thing, right? Like you almost feel hollow asking them about how their game is.
Yeah, of course.
When you think about the world and what that they live in, and what that studio has gone through and really continues to go through. I think for them, I see, and they've talked about this when I've talked to them, that building the game has kind of been a refuge in a way, and it's cool to see that. I hope it never gets replicated again in terms of something that has to happen. But I'll say for the team, the fact that they're here, I was playing, they were literally pushing a new build right as I was playing that build, so their attention to wanting to put their best foot forward, even under the most difficult circumstances. I have a ton of confidence in them, and they're on that journey, but it's it's an emotional thing when you're talking to a team that's going through, I don't want to talk about it in past tense, what that team is going through. So it's really special to me that they're here and that gaming can be part of how they're getting through it.
Yeah, for sure. And as well as being here, there are so many communities for so many different games.
Yeah.
There are Xbox, you've got Sea Thieves. I'm doing it again. Sea Thieves over there. You've got an ESO over there.
They can't see it,
No, I know. I'm just
There's actually nothing over
I'm
there.
telling you where they all are.
It's an empty, like, there's nothing here. And you're just
Ignore
like
the
pointing
green screen, it's an illusion.
The grounded communities over there, it's actually not.
But what's it like for you to see all of these communities come together?
community and gaming to me are linked. Like
Yeah,
it's
100%.
from my early days of literally going to the arcade. I'm the old guy, but like that's the only way I could play that and Pong at my house. That's how I play video games. And there was a community in the arcade of like, hey, what's the new hot console? Not video game console, but actually arcade console cabinet that you're going to go play. And I love that today those communities, they're still physical. Like you asked, why are we here at Gamescom? Because we have a fan fest tonight.
Indeed,
it's going to be awesome with the local community and the people that are here, but also the virtual communities. And I think it's one of the unique things in video games, that video games can connect people across geographies, across races, religions. Like it is just a connector of people. And when it's a game like a Sea of Thieves, like a Grounded, like a Flight Sim, so many of our games now have these Elder Scrolls Online, which has a big, over there, has a big presence on our show floor.
And they've got a really nice table in there as well.
They do that big round table.
A really nice table. It's another one of the things on my list to see if I can pilfer. I won't lie to you.
We should steal that.
Yeah, we should.
But the thing, I also want to make sure on the community side, it's not just about multiplayer games. Like you find, like think about Skyrim.
Yeah.
You know, Skyrim has an amazing community around it, and it's not because there's a bunch of PvP or PvE, right? It's people come together for their shared love of the world and the characters and the lore and their role in that. I just think that's a very special part of gaming, and it's a privilege, I guess, for us at Xbox to have some franchises that are a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, what we're seeing here is, I think it fully opens to the public tomorrow and all.
It's the sweatshop tomorrow.
Oh,
right?
yeah, this is going to really pop off then.
In here. It's going to be warm.
You got the good day to come and sit here.
I'm here tomorrow. I'm here.
Well,
but yeah, no. Yeah, like, do people know? Like, today is what, the press day, right?
Yes,
is that what they call it? I don't know if that has an official name. I should know, but I don't know. And then tomorrow, the consumers, the players, come in. Have you ever seen, like, when they open the
running?
It's ridiculous.
And then eventually at some point, I'm going to stop pointing, but the escalators, and they get so busy.
Yeah.
Every time I come to Gamescom with someone new, I tell them you have to see the running when it opens and the escalators when they're full. It's great.
It's awesome to be back. And I think they feel like this might be one of the biggest Gamescom ever.
It feels it already, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's kudos to the team here who's kept this going. They went virtual for a while, but now we're here back, and there's so many fans and players here. It's like just such a special time.
And it's special for Xbox as well, as we've mentioned a few times on the show already, that it's the 10th anniversary of ID at Xbox.
I have my ID at Xbox.
There it is. He's sporting it. He knew what he was doing.
Wear it.
I'd love for you to reflect on any memories or moments you have from the introduction of ID and how it's gone over the past 10 years.
I'm going to start with a couple things.
Yeah.
One, we always have discussions internally when new things are going to happen on the console. And there's always some different kind of feelings about the impact. When free-to-play came to console, it'll be the end of the console if free-to-play comes to console. Some people think it is, but like, you know, clearly the console's still there and free-to-play happened. ID at Xbox, well, when we have unmanaged partners that are building games on Xbox, what does that mean for a console? Because we started with this silly thing where publishers had 2 slots of arcade games that they could go do. It was like a silly policy in Xbox. Opening it up and allowing anybody who submits and actually has good intent to build a game on the platform has led to some of the best games that have, people forget like that Fortnite actually came through ID at Xbox. When you ask about like some of the special moments, I have to go to games from places where we had never seen games from Xbox. I remember going to the Brazil game show and meeting the devs behind Aritana. I'm probably missing the pronunciation. But it's this, I think it was the first Brazilian developed Xbox game. And it came through ID at Xbox, and this team of guys, we were in Sao Paulo, and they came together, and I met them at the show, and it was so cool just to think, it used to be there were like 3 places on the planet where games were built. And now you have games coming from all over the place, and people tell their stories through their lived experience and their world.
It's totally different stories, as you say, around the world.
Now, whether it's explicit in like, I'm going to do a game about Brazil, or I'm going to do a game about something else, but through the lens of what I see in the world. Exactly. And that's the thing, whether it was like Candleman, which I think was the first Chinese developed ID at Xbox game. Like, I always love when we're finding new ID at Xbox games from new places and new partners. And I just think that's like, if we're going to find new players, we're going to have more creative, and the mix of those 2 things, ID has been fundamental. And 10 years ago, announced at Gamescom.
10 years.
Yeah,
Wowzers.
that's how old I am. feels like yesterday, or I don't remember it. I should say I don't remember.
I
don't
thought you were
remember
saying
actually.
you were 10 years old then.
No.
That's a great job for a 10-year-old that you've got.
No, I like, no, but it's like that it was 10 years ago. And I remember though, like, trepidation. What's going to happen when unmanaged developers can build console games? You know what happened? Some amazing things happened.
It did. So another thing that you talk about a lot as well is when you can play games whenever, however, and wherever you want. And I know that's something you really want to give to fans however possible. So I want to know what that commitment looks like, both at Gamescom and maybe the months ahead, what that story is going to be.
The critical thing we look at Teams Xbox in terms of our success is how many players.
Yeah.
How many players do we have? And even more and more, how much are people playing? Like, do we have a platform that has games for kind of all hours of the day? Sometimes you're playing with your family and what can I go do? Sometimes it's just me time and I want to go do things. And how many players show up? We look at our monthly active players, our daily active players. And when I say on Xbox there, whether you're playing on the cloud and you're streaming to a device that we don't know anything about, whether you're playing on a PC, and as Microsoft, we know something about the PC, or you're playing on one of our consoles. Like, those are all Xbox players. Or, like, flying over here, I'm playing on my ROG Ally on the airplane. And I think about that as my Xbox away from home, or my Steam Deck. Like, I want those things to feel as connected and as complete as an Xbox experience as any piece of hardware that we build. We will continue to focus on hardware. It's an important part of our team and what we can go do. But I don't want our hardware to be a limitation on who can actually feel like they're part of the Xbox community. If you buy hardware from us, we're going to do an awesome job supporting you. We want to make sure great games are there. If you have the device that you want to bring and be part of Xbox, we also want that to be 100% great on Xbox. And it's, as you said, it's putting the player's decision on where they want to play at the center of it.
And it's just there for them, whichever one they want to
That's
grab
right.
at that time.
And not only is it there, my save game moves with me, my community is there, so I can make progress on any platform I want to play on, and I can grind my characters, I can make my way through the story anywhere I've been. It's one of the best things about Starfield, pointing at it.
That's over there.
Yeah, I've been moving, I play on work, on my PC, when I go home, I sit on my console and I go play. And it's just a continuous experience for me, and everything moves. It's fantastic.
Amazing. So I also want to know, while we are here, is there anything you're particularly excited about trying, either on the booth, off the booth? What have you got your eyes on?
Well, Stalker 2 was one, so it was great to get to sit and talk to the team yesterday and just connect, right, and see how they're doing. I have this funny thing with Ed Boon, where Ed and I have known each other for a long time, head of the team behind Mortal Kombat. But we tend to cross ourselves on stage all the time. It happened last night at OLN.
Congratulations last night, by the way. Smashed
But
it.
accepting an award that team did on like an Xbox.
Yeah, but
I didn't do
you
it.
accepted it so well, Phil. Well done.
Thanks. I'm very good at coming out with a trophy and a microphone and accepting an award for work that other people did. And that team did awesome work. But I want to get over with Mortal Kombat. We had the same thing at, I still call it E3, though no one else does, but that June event, our showcase, but also I think he was in Keeley's, the Play Days thing, which was great. But we tend to fly by. So I saw him on stage, because he was on, I think, right after me as I was coming off stage, which is how we normally spend time together. But really great third parties here, and I know I'm supposed to pick some obscure indie game, but I want to sit down with Ed and get my hands on Mortal Kombat, so I'm hoping I get to do that.
I'm going to recommend to you, if you haven't yet, go play Little Kitty Big City.
I have not.
That's the one
I'm not really a cat person, though.
Phil!
No.
You have
Are we going to fight?
Spoil it, don't you? Because I have to thank you now for the interview, and you've just gone and said you're not a cat person.
I'm a dog person. My dog's name is Oogie.
Oogie?
Oogie, O-O-G-I-E.
Oh, okay.
He's a rescue.
Maybe I'll let you off
He is
then.
the most awesomest dog ever.
Fine.
But yeah. So, Big Kitty, Big City, what would say?
Well, imagine if it was Big Kitty, Little City. That's a game.
Yeah.
Someone make that one. Well, Phil, we got to wrap there. You're absolutely fantastic as
Oh,
always.
I missed
Thank
the
you for joining
whole
us.
freaking Phil Spencer
Enjoy
interview.
the rest of your show.
Thank you.
Don't steal too much stuff. And
Dang
I'm sure we'll speak to you soon. But now it's
I'll
over to
have
Benny and
to
Maxi
mark
to
that.
close out the end of the show.
So
That is day one of our Xbox Gamescom coverage in the books, but don't
I was
worry.
going to make it
just
easier to
getting
find
started.
later.
That's right, over the next 2 days, we've got more from the new Cyberpunk 2077 expansion, Phantom Liberty. We'll scare ourselves silly with Alan Wake 2, and we get hyped with a tour of this massive Xbox booth.
Now, there's
And then
supposed
day
to
3, we
be
sail the high seas with Sea of Thieves. We're gonna party with party
trivia
animals and check out
today.
skylines too from high above Cologne, this city. All that and so much more, so join us right back here tomorrow and Friday. Until then, happy gaming. See you then. Macht's gut. Ciao.
Bye.
Let's see when trivia is. Okay. It's at 11 a.m. And I have to set up a new stream for that. Ooh, thunder. Alright, thunder. Well, they're ending it for today, so I'm gonna end this stream and then be back later for the FanFest trivia contest. Till then, guys. Let's see if they show anything here. Alright, I'm going to end the stream. Probably going to go back and rewatch that Phil Spencer interview, since I missed almost everything what he said. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Talk to you later.